The man who protested in Qatar ahead of the World Cup is Peter Tatchell, seen here. To do this in this country is incredibly selfless. Thus, we wish to spread his message.
Well, he was actually standing outside the National Museum in Doha wearing this T-shirt saying Qatar was anti-gay. The country, of course, hosting the World Cup in a short time. For his protests, Tatchell would be arrested.
I was arrested and detained for 49 minutes and subjected to interrogation about where I was from, where I was going. But I have now been released. But the most important thing is this protest was to shine a light on the abuse of human rights in Qatar. This is the first ever LGBT plus protest in Qatar or any Gulf state. But also, I sought to draw attention to the abuse of the rights of women and migrant workers as well. I stand in solidarity with those brave Qatari human rights defenders who cannot express their point of view because they fear arrest, jail, and possibly even torture. I salute them. They are the true heroes.
These were his words after his release from a Qatari jail.
Qatar!
Corruption is inseparable from the 2010 decision to award Qatar the World Cup.
But the fact the country was awarded the World Cup in the first place goes back to one thing: bribery.
11 of the 22 FIFA Executive Committee members who voted on this have since been fined, suspended, banned for life, or prosecuted for corruption.
Moscow is also on the defensive, blaming a Western conspiracy for toppling the FIFA president, who is a close friend of Vladimir Putin.
The man who gave the FBI the breakthrough they needed was Chuck Blazer, an American and former football administrator.
The U.S. Department of Justice indicted 14 FIFA officials. Sepp Blatter was duly banned from FIFA, and investigations uncovered a web of bribes and unfair deals. Officials had taken millions in return for Russia and Qatar votes to host their World Cups.
When those who hold voting power relent on goodwill, on fairness, and rights for profit, the following is the result, as Peter Tatchell outlined moments ago. Now, he said he stood in solidarity with workers, the migrant workers, because of what transpired in the country. And if you are unaware, here is what happened, allegedly. Qatar's government says that 30,000 foreign laborers have been hired just to build the stadiums. Most come from Bangladesh, India, Nepal, and the Philippines.
And the Guardian newspaper broke the story of Qatar's World Cup slaves.
In 2016, Amnesty International accused Qatari companies of using forced labor. Workers were found to be living in squalid accommodations, were forced to pay huge recruitment fees, and had wages withheld and their passports confiscated. But not just that.
5,200 is the number of workers expected to die building the infrastructure for the Games by 2022.
That was the death toll that was reported by CNN in 2015.
In a shocking revelation, reports suggest that more than 6,500 migrant workers from India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka have died in Qatar since it won the right to host the World Cup 10 years ago. Now, according to reports, an average of 12 migrant workers from these 5 countries died every week in the period between 2011 and 2020.
Now, the problem with that is the report from The Guardian came out in February of 2021, and as of today, I could tell you right now, we have no update. That number has not been updated at all. However, what we do have is pro-Qatar propaganda, which states via the country's government that there were 37 deaths. LGBTQ rights are cast as sinful in the region. Under Article 285 of Qatar's Penal Code, same-sex conduct is punishable by up to 7 years in prison. Those who benefit the most from putting on the World Cup have repeatedly put out statements like this, preaching inclusivity and safety. They've said that everyone, no matter their sexual orientation or background, is welcome, while also warning against public displays of affection. So basically what they're saying is, you can be gay, but you just can't be too gay. You have to be the right kind of gay person. No public affection, no hand holding, no kissing on the cheek, none of it whatsoever. We'll accept you as long as you do exactly as you're told. And even that might be a farce, let's be honest. The conservative Muslim country has proven, however, that no one is safe. Human Rights Watch spoke with 6 LGBTQ Qataris. They told their stories of mistreatment. All said that preventive security department officers detained them in an underground prison in Doha, where they verbally harassed and subjected detainees to physical abuse, ranging from slapping to kicking and punching until they bled. One woman said she lost consciousness. Security officers also inflicted verbal abuse, extracted forced confessions, and denied detainees access to legal counsel, family, and medical care. All 6 said the police forced them to sign pledges, indicating that they would cease immoral activity. All were detained without charge, in one case for 2 months in solitary confinement without access to legal counsel. None received any record of having been detained. These acts could constitute arbitrary detention under international human rights law. A trans Qatari woman said that after security forces arrested her on the street in Doha, preventive security officers accused her of imitating women because of her gender expression. Quote, "I saw many other LGBT people detained there. 2 Moroccan lesbians, 4 Filipino gay men, and 1 Nepalese gay man," she said. "I was detained for 3 weeks without charge, and officers repeatedly sexually harassed me. Part of the release requirement was attending sessions with a psychologist who would make me a man again." A Qatari bisexual woman said, "Preventive security officers beat me until I lost consciousness several times. An officer took me blindfolded by car to another place that felt like a private home from the inside and forced me to watch restrained people getting beaten as an intimidation tactic." Here's a part that I want to read to you. Qatari authorities made LGBTQ citizens with makeup on have wet wipes and wipe the makeup off, and then the police used those wet wipes against them. There was a queer woman who was in police custody. They made her strip down naked and photographed her, which gave her depression and likely PTSD. She fears going outside. They made people unlock their phones, they recorded their history, and then they used that information to then investigate and go after other LGBTQ people in the country. This is what's happening there. All those interviewed provided strikingly similar accounts. The repressive climate around free expression in Qatar, including around the rights of LGBT people, has made many people who may have experienced mistreatment afraid to be interviewed because of the risk of retaliation, Human Rights Watch said. Although the Qatari government has denied the allegations, Human Rights Watch has called on FIFA, football's world body, to press Qatar to launch reforms that protect LGBTQ people. Now let me be very clear. The president of FIFA is Gianni Infantino. He is the same guy who would not confirm nor deny the 6,500 migrant worker deaths that were reported by The Guardian. However, he framed it as, well, you know, no one should be putting down any of the workers for being given a chance to work, period. Asinine stuff. If you are in this position to be president of this organization, you are not a morally driven person. Everyone knows what happened with Sepp Blatter. They are looking for, simply because his time was up and the public and the media pressure was cast upon FIFA to make a change, they did. He's been living there for about 2 years. No doubt his kids are enrolled in private schools and what have you. They are living a lavish life. What comes with the territory is trading morality and rights to turn a blind eye for profit. The president of FIFA has to have a relationship with every world leader from each country. That includes what we saw previously with Sepp Blatter having a relationship with Vladimir Putin, and also some of the heads of FIFA having residency at Trump Tower in New York, where they paid ridiculous amounts each month. The point being, as you take all of this in, the World Cup is still around the corner, and it begins November 20th.